welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Glow.
We're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your Morning Throners. Jeff, Nelson, and Glow back at it again in the middle of vacation season. So bear with us if we're not on schedule. But we're doing our best to be on schedule. And we're here to talk about the Mystery Night. But before we get into that, I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever platform you're listening to us on. And coming soon to every platform, just not yet. But Nelson, you want to lead us away on a Mystery Night?
Yeah. So hold on. I just want to say one thing. I told everybody to stop at page 295. Mainly Jeff. I assume most people who are listening along aren't actually doing this. But I think it's so fun to get your predictions. And you were giving me shit when you got there, saying it was a bad place to stop. What's wrong with that place to stop? I just read it because I like to keep it fresh. So I read it right before we record every time.
It's not a big cliffhanger.
It's literally right before he's about to charge out into.
It's about to be a joust. Like, it's not like it's about to be war. It's about to be a joust. Like last time, we didn't know if the Red Widow was about to come throwing bombs on the little castle. This one, it's like, okay, he's gonna go fight. He's gonna go joust against somebody with a attorney sword that's gonna break.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've got some crazy predictions that I want to happen.
That's BS because we'll get there at the end, but I think that's BS because Egg says right before the joust, if you lose thunder, you lose all your armor. You're basically you're not a knight anymore.
Whatever.
You're not a knight anymore.
He goes back to wherever Egg's dad is, and they give him a bunch of new shit.
He doesn't do that.
Well, that's because he's not going to lose.
That's not dunk. As Arya would say, that's not dunk.
That's not me.
That's not dunk.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going for.
Okay.
Though.
Okay.
This joust has nothing that I want to happen has anything to do with this joust.
Let's start off at the beginning.
Let's just say that.
We'll get to the joust at the end. So it starts off, they're leaving Stony Sept, and there's a spike over the gate of Stony Sept as they're leaving.
And there's a head on it.
Who knows anything about Stony Sept? Big place in Game of Thrones history. Future for Dunk. Something happens at Stony Sept that hasn't happened yet, but happens that they talk about all the time in
Game of Thrones.
At least in the book series. Definitely in the
Stony
show.
Sept. I totally
is
forget
that
what
where
that is.
like
it's
Robert
got another
meets,
name. It's got another name.
Does Robert meet Rhaegal there?
That's the battle of the Trident. There was a battle here. A big battle in that rebellion. Battle of the Bells.
So this is where what's his name?
Try and avoid book spoilers, but there's a couple characters later in book 4 and 5 who talk about this battle who were there. This is basically where Robert was hiding.
Yeah, and they kept ringing the bells.
Yeah, and Rhaegar's second in command got sent in to go get him out, but Ned Stark rescued him at the last minute. This is what happened right before the Trident.
Good old Ned.
Yeah, and they were ringing the bells the whole time.
Fucking Ned.
So what's that? It's still called the Stony Sept, right?
This is Stony Sept, yeah, and it's the Stony Sept still stands. Yeah, but that's where the Battle of the Bells took place.
Right.
Which when I was reading this, I was like, Stony Sept, why do I know that? So I looked it up. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
There you go.
And yeah, so like you said, they see a head on the spikes.
Yep, Septon.
And they recognize it as a Septon who was preaching against Bloodraven a few days earlier.
Yeah.
What is it? Bloodraven has how many ears?
1,000 eyes.
1,001.
1,000 eyes in one. Yep.
So do you think? So this guy, we learned from Dunk that this guy was going around preaching that pretty much the Black Dragon should have been king, right? Pretty much what all the conflict is of this short story is based around Black Dragon or Red Dragon.
Or kind of like what Maekar says at the end of the first book, now because me and you were the ones that killed Baelor, anytime something goes wrong, they'll say, oh, if Baelor was king, the crops would have grown better, or this storm wouldn't have happened and stuff like that. And they're basically saying this guy was preaching that Bloodraven is the reason all the bad shit's going on in the realm right now.
Yeah,
he's the reason the Iron Men are attacking, and there's rebellions all over the place,
and spring sickness and whatnot.
The spring sick, all that stuff.
Exactly. So who heard him? I forget who heard him speaking treason
We don't know. Yeah, they just see the head, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the Septon that we heard talking about
That's
the other
the guy
day."
who was talking shit.
And they think about Bloodraven. Yeah.
So Bloodraven might have just like sent him, an actual Raven was like, "Fuck this dude, kill him."
Yeah,
exactly.
or just like loyalists who were in that town who
Yeah.
didn't want Bloodraven to think that they were like anti-Bloodraven.
Yeah, everyone's so scared of Bloodraven. I can only imagine.
And Egg is kind of saying he was a traitor and a liar, like he got what he deserved. And Dunk's
Yeah.
saying if they cut off the heads of all traitors and liars, then all the traitors, liars, and fools, then half the kingdom would be dead. Another cool thing, we find out what Egg named his horse. Do you guys remember this?
Is it Rain?
Rain. So Dunk's horse is Thunder, Egg's is Rain.
Yeah.
Also, he got it like when it started raining, right after the long drought.
Yeah.
Great horse name, all things considered.
I guess.
What was the donkey's name again?
Maester.
Maester, because they got it from Maester Aemon.
Simple naming schematics.
So just a real quick thing we get here is Dunk tells a story about when him and his friends like stole head from Flea Bottom or like run around
yeah,
and, like,
dude,
make girls
And
kiss
make
it.
girls kiss it? Like, that's so fucked up.
Like they were such assholes, but like he was an asshole back in the day before the old man found him.
Yeah. He gives a little name drop to one of his boys too. It was like faster than everybody else, right?
Yeah, like Weasel, or I think it was like Weasel or Ferret or something like that.
Yeah.
Great name.
So then we find out how much money they have, and I was finally done. Like we've had this question before, how much
All
everything's
the
worth. So
conversion.
I looked it up on Wikipedia, the exchange.
Wow, that's so weak.
Here's what they got. They have 22 pennies, 3 stars, 1 stag, and a chip garnet.
What the hell is a star and a garnet?
That's what I was when I read that. I was like, I gotta look it up.
Is it star silver?
Star is actually is a copper, but it's worth 8 pennies.
Okay.
And what was the other thing? I think a moon, which is the silver, and a garnet just like a gem.
A piece of garnet.
So anyway, I just converted it down to the lowest one they had, which was pennies, which they're what most people talk about, copper pennies, and they have 102 pennies. 3 stars, 3 times 8 plus the 22, and then with the 1 stag, 102 pennies is what they got.
Right.
Shitty conversion system.
I'm just saying that because later we get some more of how much it's going to cost them to cross the river and everything, and they're not doing great on coin at the end of it. Dunk's saying like, oh, we can stop at the inn and we'll get some food and beds, and then we'll go to the wall.
What's his name? Whoever they were working for must not have given them much money when they left, or they've done some.
Sir Eustace.
Some extra.
Well, he left. He left like pissed at Sir Eustace.
Right. And they must have done some like extra. They could have done some other shit along
horn
the way.
around. Yeah, they probably did some horn.
Yeah, some horn. Okay.
Egg's just getting
male prostituted out.
That's what a hedge knight needs to do sometimes, you know.
Yeah. So then, while they're walking towards the inn, they hear a large group coming up the road next to them.
They hide.
So they hide behind a bush, and Dunk takes out a new shield that he got at Sony Sept that has like a hangman on it.
It's a little shield too from the picture.
I don't
from the
think
illustration.
The picture's right. But I think these illustrations are a little off.
Yeah.
They look cool, but they're definitely a little off. It said it's a big kite shield.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't a kite shield in the picture.
Ever since the very first short story when Aeron Targaryen was going at it with a pointed lance in the tournament.
It's like, yeah, that's not right.
They were just gonna let him kill anything. Anything was gonna get killed.
I mean, there's some more lances at the end of that. Maybe they just used that picture in the wrong spot.
I mean, they killed the horse with the.
Yeah,
it was going through the horse's head. But
all right, so while they're hiding, 2 knights ride by, and then the third at the head of a column, and they see Dunk in the bush, and they tell him to get out. And the knight has an orange shield with 3 black castles on it. And he's an asshole to Dunk, and he is like calling him a robber knight. And we find out later this guy's Gorman Peak, Lord Gorman Peak, the Lord of Starpike.
yeah.
And the other 2 knights come back who went forward, and the one is Lord Alan Cockshaw, and the other is Sir John the Fiddler. So they're all riding together to go to this wedding. And John the Fiddler's like all about Dunk joining them. He's like, you guys got to join us. Like, it'll be fun. We're going to this wedding. At least get some food.
The Fiddler talks a lot, man.
Fiddler's
he is a talker. That's for sure.
So Dunk says no because he's like, what would we do? Like, you guys would be putting up pavilions and we'd be like sleeping. We find out later they've got like a shaggy little tent. But like they would basically he's like, and when this confrontation happens, he's shirtless because it was so hot. He was just like walking on the road without a shirt on. Like he just looks like an asshole, right? And that's like
Yeah.
Gorman Peak has like right to call him like a robber knight. He just looks like a dick.
That's Dunk. Dunk was shirtless and whatnot.
Yeah,
He looks like a ragamuffin.
yeah. Oh, also they in that picture they talk about how Egg was happy because he got a new straw hat.
Yeah. And
And
he put one on Maester and cut the ear holes
They
out.
cut
for
the
him.
ear holes and put it on Maester for the other one. Yeah, I love that. So basically, Dunk says like, "No, we can't go," and then they ride on, and then Dunk remembers that Gorman Peak is the guy who killed the old man's nephew, who was the old man's squire before Dunk was. That he killed him on the Redgrass Field during the Blackfire Rebellion.
Yeah.
So like Dunk is like kind of pissed at Gorman Peak. He was rude to Dunk, but like he's pissed at him for like another reason that's kind of like doesn't really make sense. You killed this kid I never knew, and if you wouldn't have, I would never like be in the situation. But
Yeah.
like, he should almost be thanking Gorman for killing this guy and opening the spot up for Dunk.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but it was somebody he cared for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why he's doing it because Dunk's just a good guy.
He's a
but-
good-
Who was it again? It
he's
was
good
like
nice.
Penny Tree's nephew, right, or something like
Yeah,
that.
Roger
Yeah.
Pennytree, but it was also the squire,
Right.
the old man squire. So I don't have the exact quotes, but Dunk while they're walking to the and then and Egg are talking, and we find out that Butterwell was the master of coin for Aegon and hand for a little bit under Daron the Good.
Mm-hmm.
So Bull's rich.
That's the guy. That's the guy that they're knights for, right?
No, this is the guy who's getting married.
He's
Oh,
hosting
okay.
the
Okay. I'm
tournament.
sorry. Right.
Those
right.
other guys were John the Fiddler says he's a hedge knight, and the other two guys are lords.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And then they're going to
they're going to Butterwell's wedding,
right.
which we find out a little more about later. There's a lot of moving pieces in this one. This one's like
There's a lot of names, and I'm kind of when they finally get to where they are and they're all kind of together. I was kind of confused. I knew
yeah.
I recognized the names, but I wasn't familiar to where they were at the start of this show or at the start of the story.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get there, but this one definitely has like a lot more more Game of like more like the books where there's like a lot of shit going on. You got to really like look at it.
Yeah,
with
there's a
careful
whole
eye.
lot of people.
yeah, I mean, it's
They
just
pick
moved
everybody
on to
up.
having 18 Targaryens to having 18 knights that you need to learn their names.
Yeah. So this guy Butterwell also during the rebellion, he sent one son to the red and one to the black. That way, no matter what, he would still
He
live.
was a winner.
But we find out later both his sons died afterwards anyway in the spring sickness. So
Yeah.
that's why this wedding is happening because he needs an heir, or else his name goes out forever.
Yep.
And so Dunk's thinking about entering in the tournament that he just heard about from Gorman Peak about this wedding and everything. And he, like I said, he wants to go against Peak for some reason. And again, he's thinking the same thing he was at Ashford because the whole ransom system.
If I can win one, I'm good.
If I can win one, I'm at least come out even. If I win two, we're positive.
Yeah.
And he's like, we will be able to eat good on the way to the wall because it'll be cold and we don't want to be eating more salt beef.
Yeah.
So then we find out it'll cost 36 pennies to cross the ferry. He only had like 104, I think I said.
Okay.
So 102. So he's down to like 75 already. And then we find out that Lord Cockshaw, the Fiddler, and I think Peak already crossed at this point.
Yeah.
And he asked for food, and he's like, and we'll just take we don't want a bed, but we'll just sleep in the stables. She's
Yeah.
like, no, there's no room for you, and you can't have my food if you're not a guest in the stables for horses. And tells him to go down the road to
The hedges.
where the hedges where there's a couple other hedge knights staying.
They meet two more guys there, at least two, maybe three.
I think it's
Three-
three.
three
Yeah,
guys,
three guys there. Yeah, Plum.
Sir Maynard Plum,
Fireball.
the son of Fireball, Sir Glendon Ball, and Ka the cat of Misty Moor. And do you guys remember the place where they're camped? It's
It's like right on the river, isn't it?
it's right on the river, but it's a weirwood grove. There's like a circle of weirwood trees.
All chopped
Right.
down there,
And
right?
they're all all
Yeah.
chopped down, just stumps.
So
I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
yeah.
Does he have a dream this night?
I don't think so. So then we find out the next thing we find out from these other hedge knights is that the prize for the tournament is
A golden
dragon.
egg.
a dragon's egg.
A Willy Wonka's golden egg.
Got the golden ticket.
Dunk asks how they got this egg. You guys remember?
One of the
From
Targaryens gave it to
Dragonstone.
Butterwell.
From Dragonstone.
One of the Targaryens gave it to him. Aegon the Fourth, the Unworthy, stayed at the castle for like this guy's grandfather.
Oh, and he fucked all the girls there.
Fucked like 3 of his maiden daughters. So gave him a dragon's egg in return because it's like super expensive.
Yeah, I remember. Aegon the Unworthy was just a cat.
Yeah, just getting around.
Just a kitty cat.
So Sir Kyle the Cat says what his plan is at this tournament. Like, what's his goal? He wants to go.
He wants to lose. He's gonna drop, and so.
Well, we don't find out how he's gonna do it, but yeah, that's in this part. So yeah, he
wants
find
to
out
be the
later.
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to be a knight for a guy he made armor for. He did something for him before.
He made this guy his first sword when he was like a kid. He like made him a wooden sword. And then he like served his father for a little bit. Somehow he went their separate ways, and now he wants to serve him again. And we find out later that that his plan is to just like lose, like get matched up with this guy in the tournament and then just lose, so that this guy is like happy and he's like, oh, it was great riding against you. Will you take me back into your service? Do you remember me?
Do you remember me, sir? Let me ride for you once more.
That's Sir Kyle's plan, and then Sir Kyle starts talking shit on Bloodraven, and Dunk's thinking back to the
Septon.
Yeah, the head they saw on the spike.
How many eyes does Bloodraven have?
And he says when Aerys dies, Maekar and Bloodraven are going to fight for the throne. And Dunk's just worried that Egg's going to blow his top because he blows his top anytime people start talking about his dad.
And he's actually playing it pretty cool on his stump, right?
He's doing pretty good, yeah. And then Plum says that he's like, you forget about there's the older brother, Rhaegal. So this is a guy who's older than Maekar but younger than Aerys. Because again, there's just a ton of people in that brother, like
and
4
it's
brothers.
The most confusing thing ever.
And Rhaegal has 2 sons. He basically says like you're forgetting about them. And then somebody says that Maekar, if Aerys died, Maekar would just kill Bloodraven and his brother and his 2 sons because he's already like a kinslayer, so he doesn't care about killing family. And that's when Egg says that Maekar would never harm his family.
Yeah,
he loves him.
And Dunk tells him to shut up, and then he like Egg's pretty good. He like holds his tongue. So it's like I feel like maybe Dunk's been working with Egg a little bit.
Yeah,
like Egg in the last book or the first book would not have been shut up there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it. He's what now? Still like a 13-year-old boy, 15. I mean, he can't be older than
he's probably 13. You're right, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So, like a 7th grader, 8th grader who just like talks a ton of shit to everybody and doesn't know when to shut the fuck up and be quiet.
Clout in the ear.
So then Cal starts talking again about like fighting and stuff. I mean, he's talking about he's telling a story about the Redgrass field. He's like, I jumped off my horse and was surrounded by traitors. And Glendon Ball is like, what do you mean by traitors? And he's like, my father fought for the Black. He was a hero. And then he like turns his shield and it has like a fireball on it. And everyone's like, oh, your fireball son. Or Egg is like, oh, your fireball son. And then everyone's like, how is that possible? He was he died. And Glendon says he died before he was born.
And nobody believes him. Or they think he's a bastard in the most part. He's not an actual Ball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then the next morning, they go to sleep. The next morning, I think Kyle had said it the night before too, like, oh, we're going to have to wait because there's like 2 lords here already that still have to cross.
And more are coming.
And while they're waiting, another one shows up.
Yeah.
And Egg mentions that both those lords fought for the Black Dragon, and so does the one that showed up fought for the Black Dragon. All the lords they've seen so far. And Dunk's like, well, let's go anyway. I want to see a dragon egg. And what does Egg say?
I have one.
An egg? You can see one of mine.
He's like, yeah, my brothers have one too.
And Dunk's like, I'll hit you if you keep messing with me. And he's like, I'm serious. We all get them in our cradles when we're born.
Yeah.
And Dunk's like, oh, fuck, I keep forgetting.
Well, the 3 that they got are the ones that describe Dany's dragons.
I thought so too, but now I don't, like, on the second read through, and I actually had to, like, type it into my notes. Aryans is gold and silver.
Not gold and green.
Viserys is, like, white and gold.
White and gold.
Not silver.
I mean,
close, but
it's
maybe.
the egg.
Eggs is green and white, and Rhaegal is green and yellow. Right?
No
Aryans
black and red.
is gold and silver. Eggs is green and white.
Daron. No, and then the one at the tournament, we don't.
I think
we
it's
don't hear
black
about,
and red. I think it's black and red though.
No, it's red. It's red and like scarlet with black streaks or something, but not mostly black. Definitely not mostly black.
All right, fine. There's
It
more
is
dragons.
cool. It is cool to think that it could be Danny's though.
Yeah, it would be sweet. But then we find out. Then Egg also mentions that Daron had a dream that dragons will come back one day, and we know Rhaegar thought that dragons were going to come back, and he says that Aerys, and this isn't the Mad King Aerys, this is Aerys who's king now, had a prophecy or read a prophecy that dragons would come back. So they're all in on dragons coming back. At least Egg is.
Yeah.
If
only they knew.
So then Dunk asks Egg what he knows about Fireball. What does he say? Do you remember anything about it?
Not to drink too much of it.
Yeah. Fireball was like, was he like one of the? He was definitely on the rebellion side or the Black Dragon side.
Yeah. So he was the master at arms. So like the Sir Roderick, the one who taught everybody how to fight swords at the Red Keep for the Targaryens under Aegon the Unworthy.
And he fired him.
And Aegon promised him a spot on the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
But then Aegon dies and Daron the Good becomes king.
And he never got a spot.
And he gives the open spot to somebody else. So Fireball gets
just
pissed. And somebody said, Egg says that like one of his uncles or something said that Fireball was equally as much behind Bittersteel in starting the rebellions. Because people say that like Daemon Blackfire wasn't the one who like started the rebellions and like tried to become king.
Just
they said it was like
who
they said it was
Bittersteel.
Yeah, Bittersteel and Fireball were like egging him on to do it because he had the sword.
Yeah, and who was Bittersteel again?
Bittersteel was just another one of the bastards, like Bloodraven or like Blackfire or Bittersteel, just another one of the bastards. But he wasn't given the sword. But he was like one of the other illegitimate bastards.
Yeah.
Bastards.
And Egg also said, I think a little earlier, that Daemon Blackfire, when he fled, had 3 sons. Or no, there was 3 living sons across the sea. The sons of Daemon Blackfire's sons, I think. Okay. Something like that. And then how did Fireball die?
Shot by an arrow.
Just shot by an arrow.
Yeah, by a common archer, right?
By a common archer while he was getting a drink of water from a stream.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like even heroes can just get killed.
Get shot in the Achilles.
I mean, there had to have been like a huge like bounty out for him, right? Like you see a guy with red hair, and he probably had a sigil and whatnot. Like, shoot that man.
Yeah.
We'll give you some dough.
Yeah. So then Dunk gets to White Walls, and White Walls sounds freaking awesome.
This is the castle.
This is the castle or the Butterwells. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got like white marble imported or white like granite imported from the Vale, white marble on the floors.
Yeah.
The ceiling is made of weirwood trunks. Because it's white. Just everything in this place
dope.
is white.
I didn't know it had a weirwood ceiling.
It's basically because they make all their money off of milk, right? They
milk.
Have a ton of cows, and they make money off of milk.
Yeah, exactly. And because this guy was master of coin, which is probably how they got most of their money.
Yeah, you probably got a lot of money that way.
Wasn't there a joke in it where, somebody made it all from milk, somebody else made all theirs from
thievery? They said one said something about milk, and one said something about thievery, and then
and now they're
getting
married, right?
Because the lady who's getting married is a phrase.
Yeah, right.
And it's funny. I don't know if you guys caught it, but they said Lord Walter, the bride's father, was there. It's definitely the same boy. Lord Walter because he's like
as a child, because he's old as shit.
Because he's only like 16 there. Yeah.
So I didn't see that there. Damn.
Yes. So Dunk is in.
I thought it was him, but I didn't know because it says like 100 years before. Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that's the first book. That's the first book, so it's probably like.
I think it's him. So then they're at the feast. Dunk's sitting below the salt, and Glendon Ball's having trouble getting in, and he's like demanding stuff. And then this guy Kirby Prim comes up and like tells the guards to stand down, and they do. But then he whispers something in Glendon's ear, and like Dunk says, Glendon looks like he's about to kill somebody, but he like is allowed to come in. So then he comes in and sits with them.
Yeah. That's like the low tables at this feast, right?
Yeah, below the salt.
Right.
So, but where they're sitting somewhere, they meet a new. But also, Egg had to stay out in the yard.
Yeah.
No
squires.
No squires allowed.
Yeah. So while they're sitting down there, they meet a new knight who they're talking to. It's basically him, Sir Kyle the Cat, Plum again, and now Fireball. And then there's a new one they met, Sir Uthar Underleaf, and he's wearing like gray and green and has a snail clasp, holding his cloak up.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the guy who Dunk gets matched up with at the end. I'm like pretty sure it is.
Do they say who he fights in the joust?
A snail. The guy with a snail in his thing.
Okay, I didn't even pick that up.
And I think Egg says his name is Uther. And that's why Dunk actually knows who he is. He's like, yeah, he's 10 years older than me and half my size. I when I was reading, he didn't really say too much stuff notable that like matters.
Yeah.
But later, but I just thought it was interesting that it's the same guy he's sitting with.
Yeah.
So
doesn't the fiddler come back soon?
Yeah. So first, they make everybody, all the actual people come out, like the Butterwells and the Freys and John the Fiddler and Peak and all of them are sitting up top, and they make toast. And when they make toast to Bloodraven, Glendon Ball pours his out.
Someone's like, waste a good wine.
Yeah.
Rather see a church burn.
Delete that. You can't say anything against the religion.
So yeah, this is the next part is what Jeff said. The Fiddler comes and sits next to Dunk.
Dunk is getting hammered, by the way.
Yeah, Dunk's getting wasted.
Yeah. Well, they keep toasting. It's like 18 toasts. It's like doing 18 shots.
So Dunk has a quote a little later. I don't even think I wrote it down, but I love it. He says that the old man always said, like, anytime somebody offers you a beer or a wine, always drink it because you don't know when you're gonna
never
get
know when
one.
you get your next one.
So Dunk's like, well, there was so many toasts, and then they offered me this, and then they offered me that, and I'd never had this or that, so I thought it'd be bad to refuse. I don't know when I'll ever have another one. So he's just drinking anything people hand to him.
That's a good motto to take with you to your next party.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But basically, as soon as John the Fiddler sits down next to him, he gets up to go pee. Like, they don't really talk much.
Yeah.
But then he goes outside to pee, and he overhears a conversation.
Yeah, and we don't even really know who it is who comes.
We know one of them at this point.
I forget who it is. It's one of the guys that he met earlier. Is it the Plum?
Is it Peak?
It's Peak. I have a quote. Just the what he overhears. Somewhere above, a door came open. Dunk heard footfalls on the steps, the scrape of boots on stone. Beggar's feast you've laid before us, without bitter steel. Bitter steel be buggered, insisted a familiar voice. No bastard can be trusted, not even him. A few victories will bring him over the water fast enough. Lord Peak, Dunk held his breath, and his piss. Easier to speak of victories than to win them. The speaker had a deeper voice than Peak, and a brass rumble with an angry edge to it. Old Milkblood expected the boy to have it, and so all the rest. Globe words and charm cannot make up for that. A dragon would. The prince insisted the egg will hatch. He dreamed it, just as he'd once dreamed his brother's dead. A living dragon will win us all the swords we would want. A dragon is one thing, a dream's another. I promise you, Bloodraven is not dreaming. We need a warrior, not a dreamer. Is the boy his father's son? Just do your part as promised, and let me concern myself with that. Once we have Butterwell's gold and the swords of House Frey, Harrenhal will follow. Then the Brackens. Otho knows he cannot hope to stand. ... The voices were fading as the speakers moved away. Dunk's piss began to flow again. He gave his cock a shake and laced himself back up. His father's son, he muttered. Who are they speaking of? Fireball's son?
Yeah.
That's what Dunk overhears.
And this is where my mind starts racing what's happening in the future.
All right,
I'm like, what?
Glow's basically just got to shut the hell up because I feel like if he says anything, spoils are coming out. So Jeff, what are you thinking when you hear this?
It's total rebellion. They're setting themselves up for some sort of rebellion, and I think if you paid more attention now that you brought up like who was who coming over on the ferries and whatnot, and it's all Black Dragon people.
Yeah, it's all Black Dragons.
I don't remember anyone from the Red Dragon side coming over, or you see their tents coming in. So this is pretty much a meeting of the rebellions, and they're setting themselves up for another one.
Yeah, but then they're talking about like Bittersteel not coming across the water.
Yeah, they're just being pussies right now.
Bittersteel's in charge of the Golden Company, right?
Yeah, Bittersteel's the one who's in charge of the Golden Company. He's the one who like took Blackfire's sons with him. Daemon Blackfire's sons across the narrow sea.
So Daemon died in the first rebellion. He didn't make it.
I think so. Or he died across the narrow sea, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Like, shit's about to go down. And they start talking about the dream of the dragon being reborn, right? I thought Dunk had that dream. Does Dunk not have a dream?
No, Dunk hears of somebody else who has a dream.
Okay.
And no, about dragons being reborn, Egg says his brother has that dream.
Oh, and it's definitely not an actual dragon. My prediction, can I say it now? It's Egg. Egg's about to step up and do something crazy.
He's a dragon who hatches?
Yeah, he's about to actually hatch from being little Egg and being a badass Targaryen. At some point in the second half, he's going to have to do something nuts. I just don't know what.
He's going to burn everyone alive. Burn them alive!
Alright, I'm going to hit another quote that I just read, just in the middle of it. The guy responding to Peak the first time. Old milk blood expected the boy to have it, and so will the rest. Glib words and charm cannot make up for that.
What words and charm?
Glib words and charm.
What's
that mean? Old means. Milk blood?
That's Butterwell.
Butterwell.
Glow, you know the answer to this. I'm afraid you're gonna get it.
Well, milk blood was.
Yeah, old milk blood expected the boy to have it, and so will the rest. Glib words and charm cannot make up for that. We'll keep going. I just want to point.
I mean, what does glib mean?
It means like you're bullshit. Like a smooth talker. Yeah, bullshit. You're like a bullshitter, smooth talker. Have you seen Lost? He's like Sawyer.
I mean, the only person I can think of right now that's just talking a bunch is the Fiddler. The Fiddler says the most words. I don't.
Okay, so let's keep going. Well, there's another quote that I have a big quote that. Do you have your book?
It's upstairs.
Go get it. You're gonna need it here soon.
I need it.
We're gonna do the deal that we did in the first book, where we all take apart.
Did that even sound good the first time we did it?
I think I liked it. I listened to it. I liked it. All right, so Dunk's done peeing. He goes back to the hall. A bunch of little dwarfs come out for the wedding, as is custom in Westeros.
Yeah, just every wedding you have to have a little dwarf skit.
And they have like pig bladders that just run around hitting people with. And one of the Frey brothers, so one of fucking Walter Frey's sons, joins in on it. And there's a story that they found his that guy found the boy. Wait, that kid, the son found the wife of Butterwell, who was his sister, and they were back at the twins. Found her like fucking like a kitchen worker.
And that's why they sent her, because she's a spoiled girl.
She was like completely covered in flour and everything. Exactly.
And that's the joke. They talk about like seeing her covered in flour.
Yeah. And they talk about it later. And so, yeah, basically Dunk comes back in from pissing, sees the dwarves, hears this rumor, and then like kind of passes out on the table because he's so drunk.
Yeah.
And he has a dream. It says he woke up from a dream about the Red Widow and Tansel Tootal.
Both of them.
Just both of them.
Both of them.
That's the only thing we hear about this dream is that they're both in it. And he wakes up just in time for the bedding, and John the Fiddler's like somehow gets him to be carrying her.
Yeah. What a crazy. I don't know if we've ever talked about the bedding ceremony of
Yeah. Is that from something? Is that has to be taken from something in actual
I'm assuming
history.
It had to have been done in history,
at some point.
It had to have been, like, to make sure that they're actually like
consummating their love.
Yeah. That's
diddling.
So he's wasted, but he carries her the whole way up. And then as soon as he drops her off, a dwarf jumps in bed and starts grabbing her boobs, and Dunk picks the dwarf up and is going to take him out, and he sees the egg.
Yeah, and he goes, what makes him think he can do what he's about to do is
he's drunk.
The ale. Yeah, it's got to be the ale. Yeah. He's just got no sense of judgment right now to walk over to the egg and actually pick it up.
Yeah. So, Glow, what I have is it says it's red and gold with some black flecks.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound like Drogon.
Yeah, I feel like Drogon would be all black.
With the red veins or something.
So then Knight yells at Dunk while he's holding this thing. And the knight has a big black beard and has like a real deep voice. And it's the same guy who was talking to Peak earlier. Like Dunk recognizes his voice. So Dunk puts it down, he runs out, but as he's going to go down the stairs, the fat Lord Butterwell is getting carried up by like all the ladies, and Dunk's like too drunk to deal with that, so he goes to the roof.
Yep.
And the diddler follows him.
Yeah,
Diddler.
and then this is where the fiddler starts talking to him. So, Jeff, before we read this, I just want to point out, I think I told you Glow already, there's a rumor that the fiddler is like gay for Dunk. Is trying to get in his pants here.
It seems pretty gay to me.
Yeah, when you're looking at it in that light, there's some things towards the end that are like very sexual.
All right, well, let's read it.
All right, so we're gonna start reading. It's like a 1.5.
Jeff's already getting hot and heavy over here.
I'm ready for
Shirt off and everything.
Starts on 281, and there's a lot of pictures, but it goes to like 280, top of 285. Who wants to be the fiddler? Who wants to be Dunk and Dunk narrator fiddler?
I'll be the fiddler.
Oh, I want to be the diddler.
All right, I'll be the narrator again.
You can be Dunk, Jeff. I'll be the narrator.
No, you have to be Dunk. You're full-time Dunk.
All right, well, let me clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. All right, who's diddler? You start off.
Do I start it?
Yeah.
So I gotta be all smooth and diddler.
Well, we're also both
Just
wasted.
be your natural gay self. Sounds like.
Perfect. It almost looks like as it's made of snow.
Dunk turned. John the fiddler stood behind him, smiling in a silken cloth of gold.
What's made of snow?
The castle. All the white stone in the moonlight. Have you ever been north of the Neck, Sir Duncan? I'm told it snows there, even in the summer. Have you ever seen the wall?
No, my lord.
Why is he going on about the wall?
That's where we were going. Egg and me, up north, to Winterfell.
Would that I could join you. You could show me the way.
The way?
Dunk frowned.
It's right up the King's Road. If you stay to the road and keep going north, you can't miss it.
The fiddler laughed.
Ha ha! I suppose not, though you might be surprised at what some men can miss.
He went to the parapet and looked out across the castle.
They say those Northmen are savage folk, and their woods are full of wolves.
My lord, why'd you come up here?
Alan was seeking for me, and I did not care to be found. He grows tiresome when he drinks, does Alan. I saw you slip away from that bedchamber of horrors and slipped out after you. I've had too much wine, I grant you, but not enough to face a naked Butterwell.
He gave Dunk an enigmatic smile.
I dreamed of you, Sir Duncan, before I even met you. When I saw you on the road, I knew your face at once. It was if we were old friends.
Dunk had the strangest feeling then, as if he had lived this all before. I dreamed of you, he said. My dreams are not like yours, Sir Duncan. Mine are true.
You dreamed of me?
He said, in a voice made thick by wine.
What sort of dream?
Why?
The fiddler said.
I dreamed that you were all in white from head to heel, with a long pale cloak flowing from those broad shoulders. You were a white sword, sir, a sworn brother of the King's Guard, the greatest knight in all the seven kingdoms, and you lived for no other purpose but to grant and serve and please your king.
He put a hand on Dunk's shoulder.
You have dreamed the same dream, I know you have.
He had, it was true. The first time the old man let me hold his sword.
Every boy dreams of serving in the King's Guard.
Only 7 boys grow up to wear the white cloak, though. Would it please you to be one of them?
Me?
Dunk shrugged away the lordling's hand, which had begun to knead his shoulder.
That's definitely a gay fucking...
You don't want to give a guy just like a little massage during a conversation?
It might. Or not.
The knights of the King's Guard served for life and swore to take no wife and hold no lands. I might find Tansel again someday. Why shouldn't I have a wife and sons?
It makes no matter what I dream. Only a king can make a King's Guard knight.
I suppose that means I'll have to take the throne then. I would much rather be teaching you to fiddle.
You're drunk.
And the crow once called the raven black.
Wonderfully drunk. Wine makes all things possible, Sir Duncan. You'd look a god in white, I think. But if the color does not suit you, perhaps you would prefer to be a lord?
Dunk laughed in his face.
No, I'd sooner sprout big blue wings and fly. One's as likely as the other.
Now you mock me. A true knight would never mock his king.
The fiddler sounded hurt.
I hope you will put more faith in what I tell you when you see the dragon hatch.
A dragon will hatch? A living dragon? What? Here?
I dreamed it. This pale white castle, you, a dragon bursting from an egg. I dreamed it all, just as I once dreamed of my brothers lying dead. They were 12 and I was only 7, so they laughed at me and died. And I am 22 now, and I trust my dreams.
Dunk was remembering another tourney, remembering how he had walked through the soft spring rains with another princeling. I dreamed of you and a dead dragon. Egg's brother Daron said to him, a great beast, huge with wings so large that could cover this meadow. It had fallen on top of you, but you were alive and the dragon was dead. And so he was, poor Baelor. Dreams were a treacherous ground on which to build,
As you say, my lord.
he told the fiddler.
Pray excuse me.
Where are you going, sir?
To my bed, to sleep. I'm drunk as a dog.
Be my dog, sir. The night's alive with promise. We can howl together and wake the very gods. Oh,
What do you want from me?
your sword. I would make you mine own man and raise you high. My dreams do not lie, Sir Duncan. You shall have that white cloak, and I must have the dragon's egg. I must. My dreams have made that plain. Perhaps the egg will hatch, or else.
Behind them, the door banged open violently.
There he is, my lord. Alright, that's it. This one, Gorman Peak comes up.
Yeah.
So, besides the gayness, that's a pretty...
Pretty gay.
So,
What do you think about that, Jeff?
What we were talking about earlier, who's the guy with the gib or the glib?
Mhm.
It's definitely him. I don't know who his father is or whatever, but he's the one talking the most in this whole chapter. So,
in here we learn his 2 older brothers died. 2 twin brothers died when they were 12 and he was 7. He's 22 now.
okay.
And he's saying that he thinks he can make Dunk Kingsguard.
Right, so he thinks he's powerful enough to be king one day.
Yeah.
So the only way that would happen is if this rebellion happens and he's the guy, the son of the father. So maybe he's maybe the son of Bittersteel or the son of the Fireball. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, so hold on to the gayness. There's the very next part. I'll read myself because it's a little short, but this is right when Pete comes up. Gormy, the fiddler drawled. Why, what are you doing in my bedchamber, my lord? It's a roof, sir, and you've had too much wine. Lord Gorman made a sharp gesture to the guards to move forward. Allow us to help you to that bed. You are jousting on the morrow, pray recall. Kirby Prim can prove a dangerous foe. I had hoped to joust with good Sir Duncan here. Pete gave Duncan an unsympathetic look. Later, perhaps. For your first tilt you have drawn Sir Kirby Prim. Then Prim must fall. So must they all. The Mystery Knight prevails against all challengers, and wonder dances in his wake. A guardsman took the fiddler by the arm. Sir Duncan, it seems that we must part, he called, as they helped him down the steps. So, just one last little gay quote by the fiddler, saying he wants to joust with Sir Duncan, and that Peak is coming into his bedchamber.
And he calls the dude Gormy.
Gormy!
Just
That's
stab swords
a
with
pretty
each
cool
other.
name.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, so then Gorman Peak tells Dunk that he'll kill him if he talks about because Peak doesn't know what the fiddler said, but he basically says, if you repeat anything that he told you, I'll kill you.
Yeah, I mean, and from the illustrations, Peak looks like a little fat dude.
Yeah, but he is the one who killed Roger
Fucking
Pennertree on the Redgrass Field.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a squire. I could kill fucking Roger Pennytree.
It's okay. Not the greatest fighter, but still, he's not horrible. He lived through the Redgrass Field, at least.
Yeah, probably killing squires.
So,
douche.
Peak tells him he'll kill him, and then what's Dunk do? Throws up all over him.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So did I. That's funny.
Throws up all over his feet, and then Peak is like, Hedge Knights should never come somewhere they're not invited. They mess everything up. You should leave if you know it's good for you. And so then he goes back down to the feast, and he sits down, and Plum's there, and he asks if the wife was covered in flour once, because this guy didn't join the bedding. And he's like, so was she covered in flour when you got her up to the bed? Suggesting about what we said earlier, how she was fucked by the kitchen guy. So then Dunk goes back to Egg, and Egg's reading a roll of arms, house scrolls, and he says that he knows at least 3 of the people that came over were black dragons that they saw on the ferry. And now he saw one more tonight that he saw as a black dragon. And then Dunk sees that he's got a cutlet because he got into a fight with some other kids.
Yeah.
Fucking
That's great.
rapscallion.
Egg's just standing up for himself, being a little boss. But it's also really stupid. Like, what if Egg got really fucked up there? Like, say he got like paralyzed or
Yeah.
like Dunk's
Whatever.
in big trouble.
It's good to get in fights. Builds character.
Builds
No,
character. Builds Hedge Knight character.
Definitely.
So then Egg keeps insisting it's a traitors tourney. It's all traitors here. And Dunk tells him to go enter him in the tourney, but not as himself.
Everyone loves a mystery night.
So he enters himself as a gallows knight. Doesn't make sense how John the Fiddler keeps saying he's going to be a mystery knight, but everybody
Right.
knows who he is.
Right. So that was my other thing. Is he not actually John the Fiddler? Is he maybe one of the Blackfire's son came across? I don't.
Or better still come across, or Fireball Son. Any of those things.
Right.
Danny the Diddler. That's his real name.
Yeah, so then the next day is the first day of the tournament, and it's super hot, and Dunk is just hungover as shit. He's trying to wait till the absolute last minute to put his helmet on.
Yeah, just sweating.
Yeah.
Just nasty.
How shitty would that be? That'd be like going to fucking camp practice super hungover. Fuck that.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I've never done that for sure.
Mm-mm.
Then Glendon Flowers is the first tournament that we see. So this is Glendon Ball, but when they announce him, they call him Glendon Flowers of the Percy Willows.
He gets all pissed off, doesn't
And
he?
he gets real pissed off and starts like yelling, "That's not my name!" Blah blah blah.
I'm Glendon Ball,
And he's going against just some
son of the
Butterwell.
Fireball.
He's going against just some Butterwell knight, and he just whoops his ass.
Yeah,
Just
real deal.
he just like glances the lance off his and just plants it right in his chest. And it's funny because they don't describe him as looking like very athletic. He's like short and stocky, you know. But
he's a beast.
I guess you don't really need to be super athletic to sit on a horse, right?
You need to be strong enough to hold the lance straight and be able
That's
to aim it
Yeah.
and hang on, take a hit.
So then next one is Sir Kyle the Cat and his boy Joffrey.
And this is where we find
Bitterbridge.
out Kyle the Cat's going to just
Do-
whatever happens, just fall right off his horse and then be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you're so good. Like, let me be a knight in your stay." And tell him the whole
Exactly.
story.
Yep. And he kind of does. He like rides out there and just gets knocked off immediately, and just gets planted on his ass.
Yeah, and everybody, it's Dunk said, like, no way that blow knocks him off his horse. Like, everyone
Yeah,
should know
yeah.
that was such a fucking fake joust.
But Dunk was saying that the guy he was going up against was the only person who was probably more hungover than Dunk, and also just like looked like he did not want to be there. By the way, he was sitting on top of the horse. But then after he said he knocked Sir Kyle off, he's like riding around like cheering to the fans and everything. Like, he loved it. So then we find out that Dunk's going up against Sir Uther the Snail, and the only thing we know about him is he's 10 years older and he's half Dunk's size. And Egg is like, if you lose, you're not a knight anymore.
Yeah, you're just like a little pussy.
And that is where we had it stop.
Well, he's not like that. He's not a knight because he's losing all his shit.
because you need basically a horse makes a knight.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Podrick Payne says. Or not Podrick Payne, Hot Pie. Armor makes a knight.
I mean, she was wearing armor.
All right.
Okay, that's the end of
And here we are at an awful spot of the story. I mean, I guess maybe I'll go read tonight. I don't think I will.
Well, let's get some predictions.
So
Predict away, dude.
like, I don't even know if this joust will happen. I'm assuming Dunk's going to joust. Okay.
He's literally like in the list where we ended, with his helmet on and everything.
I'm saying there could be a big like, hey, we're not jousting anymore. Like big. I think they're gonna finish the tourney. At least day one of the tourney. So he's gonna joust. I'm gonna say he wins his joust, so he feels good about himself. But then there's gonna be a meeting of all the main traders there, and they're going to get their plan together. Somehow Dunk overhears the plans, and he has to tell Egg like something. It's got to be something about like going and killing Egg's family, and enough for him to tell Egg. Egg's going to send word to Bloodraven. We get a Bloodraven sighting. He's got to come at some point. All this talk about Bloodraven, we've got to get a little Bloodraven action, and the Targaryens just come down full force, and they meet, and I would say they pretty much like say like if you pussies want to fight us, like here we are, and then I don't know, they kind of lay down.
Everybody at the tournament lays down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm assuming Blood Raven already knows what's going on, and they're marching there at
So
the
what's
moment.
what's the egg hatching then?
Egg's got to use his boot for something, and
So
just like,
that's just Egg using his boot.
but it's got to be like in a grand fashion, like standing up to. He's gonna be like standing up to these people, and then bang, here comes the Targaryen army, something like that.
Boom! Bang!
I don't know, but
Alright,
it's
we'll
got to
see.
be something big with Egg. But we also need like 4 other Targaryens to die for Egg to take control. So I'm saying there's got to be a fight. So I'm saying there's a little bit of a battle here.
Oh, okay. So there's a battle and they thin some of the Targaryen herd. Also, Egg is only like what, 11 or 12 here.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I
he's
don't
got
know.
some time to grow into.
I don't know when
dying.
he ends up becoming king. So.
Oh, also, I learned all the. You know how Ace. Well,
I saw
how
you.
Ace can do
name the presidents.
all the presidents. He told me to learn to do all the Game of Thrones kings.
No way! Did he really?
Yeah.
I saw
Well, he can do the
Snapchat.
president, so he told me to learn to do the king, so I did it.
Do it.
Do it right now.
Yeah.
Aegon, Aenys, Maegor the Cruel, Jahari's the Conciliator, Viserys the First, Aegon the Second, Aegon the Third Dragonbane, Daeron the Young Dragon, Baelor the Blessed, Viserys the Second, Aegon the Fourth the Unworthy, Daeron the Good, Aerys, which is where we are in the story, Maekar, Aegon the Fifth, who's Egg, Jahari's the Second, Aerys the Mad King, Robert, Joffrey, Tommen, Cersei, Bran. No Dany. I'm not giving it to Dany.
Wait, Maekar becomes king after Aerys?
Maekar Egg's dad.
There goes the spoiler. So
How's that a spoiler?
they're not all dying in this. The end of this
Well, Egg's not going to be king at the end of this book. There's more Duncan Egg books. What? Egg's king and then just keeps on going to Winterfell with Duncan?
When are the Duncan Egg books coming out?
There's no more, but he said he would have written more already if people weren't so pissed about Winds of Winter. I kind of would just rather him just bust out.
Fuck no! I'd rather him bust out some Winds of Winter. And...
I mean, I want both. I want a Duncan Egg
and a
Winterfell.
time for wolves, man. Where's the time for wolves at?
The next Duncan Egg book is supposed to be in Winterfell, and there's supposed to be like a crisis where all the male Starks die out, so they continue the Stark through a female line. I think that's what the next one's about. And a lot of people think Old Nan is what, Hodor's mom or grandma?
Or grandma.
A lot of people think it's Old Nan and Dunk. Who make Hodor.
Dunk's getting some. Is that Tansel too tall?
Yeah, Dunk gets with Old Nan before she's Old Nan.
Wow.
I want next Dunk book. I want next Duncan Egg book.
Sexy Nan and more like.
Young Nan. Alright, so that's just predictions. I think they're good predictions. Glow also has already read, so he knows. That's why he was quiet this time. Glow can't really talk without spoiling.
Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be a fun read through Game of Thrones. So, for the next one, we're finishing the Mystery Night, and then right after that, we're going to start going right into Game of Thrones. We've already recorded some of those. For those ones, we're getting in a fourth person who has never read any of the Game of Thrones books or seen the show. He does know some major plot points along the way. So, but it should be fun to get a fresh perspective on a lot of the stuff that goes on in those books. So we'll see. That's what's up for us next. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.
See you guys soon.
Peace, boys.